Hey everyone, and welcome to a short little intro on impact play, which basically just means hitting people. So you might be interested in playing with impact because it's a nice way to build energy and intensity. It might be offering erotic sensations. It might give you a nice rush of adrenaline and endorphins. Or you might just get a lot of pleasure out of consensually hurting someone or having someone you like hurt you. So, when we're doing impact play, one general thing we want to make sure we're doing is not hitting any of the parts of our body that could potentially damage us. So we want to stay away from any bones, any joints, and any places where we have our veins and arteries visible. So some nice spots to hit, generally the fleshy, meaty parts of our body, are the tops of our chest, the tops of our shoulders, our biceps generally can take a little hit. If you're doing face slapping, you want to make sure you're in the soft, squishy part of the cheek, so not going too far back toward the ear or hitting the jawline. And the bum is a great place to hit, as well as both the inner and outer thighs. So you do want to make sure you're staying away from the kidneys, which are very sensitive organs, as well as the spine, including the sit bone. And some tricks to make sure, especially as you're just getting started and practicing, that you're not missing the mark and hurting anybody, are, first of all, it's always a good idea to put a pillow down and practice hitting the same spot on a pillow. So you can position your pillow on a chair, you can position your pillow on a bed, basically wherever you might have your play partner sitting, standing, or lying down, and just practice your aim a little bit. And when you're flogging the backs of the shoulders, towel.
Go.
Also a nice idea to just put a towel around your neck so you're protecting your spine, and then your partner can practice their flogging skills on your shoulder without being worried about hurting you in a way that's not going to be so much fun. So, what kinds of sensations are we looking for when we're playing with impact? Generally, they can be divided into thuddy and stingy sensations. So a thuddy sensation is kind of like a punch, and it goes a little bit deeper into the muscles and the bones. It might leave a little bit of bruising. And a sting is something that stays more on the surface of the body. So something more like a slap, or something that, like a thin implement like a cane might cause, where if you try it out on yourself a little bit, you can just feel the sensation. Really, there's like a stinging that stays on top of the skin. I have to look at my notes.
Go.
So just looking at some implements or toys we can use and what kind of sensation they might produce. Some ways you can get a thud are, first of all, using the fists. Usually kicking with the feet, or especially with some shoes or boots, will create a nice thud. And also some harder padded paddles like this will be a wonderful thuddy sensation. And then you have ones like paddles that are something between a sting and a thud. So this guy's made of silicone, and this part here is quite hard, but you can see it also, it's quite flexible for a nice little slap as well. And as well, something like the layer paddle here. Nice and thuddy, little bit of sting, and because of the different layers, also creates a nice sound effect. Another thuddy implement, this lovely carpet cleaner that may be familiar for some households. And generally also thicker heavier floggers will create a thud. The floggers I have with me at the moment are definitely on the stingier side. So you have this, which is very light, which might give you the impression that it's actually going to be quite a soft flogger, but actually the ends have been kind of burnt off, and this is a Benjamin Krugel flogger. So the ends are actually very sharp and stingy. So even just with this, I'm feeling quite a lot of sting on my wrist. Always also a nice idea to try your toys on yourself first a little bit. Another very stingy implement is a strip. So this is, who made this? These are handmade in Berlin, so kind of one-of-a-kind toys. And this is actually made of bike tubes. So again, very stingy sensation and a very flexible end that, yeah, will give you a nice stingy sensation. And as I've said, also canes. Generally, the thinner a cane is, the more stingy it'll be. So this one's not as stingy as they come, but it'll definitely be a sensation that really stays on the surface of your skin and potentially leaves quite some marks as well. And also, even if you're not wanting to spend a ton of money on toys from shops, there are probably lots of toys in your house that you could use for some fun impact play. The kitchen is generally a great place to look. I have this ruler here that, for instance, would be great for some student-teacher play if we want to get into certain roles, as well as a belt. And some things that we want to think about when we're negotiating impact play are, first of all, getting just like a physical and emotional overview of how our play partner is doing today. So do they have certain injuries? Do they have parts of the body that are very painful at the moment and that we shouldn't be hitting, or we should be careful when we hit? And are there, particular feelings coming up for them, or things that we, just might want to take some care about as we get into high intensity play together. Secondly, we want to ask, how much pain do I want to receive, and where, and what kinds of impact? So as we said, thuddy, stingy, or other sensations. What parts of the body generally feel good to hit? What parts of the body feel good to touch? And getting a sense of, the level of pain we want to receive on that day. Next, what toys are okay to use? And what things do you feel really excited about? What things are a definite no? And what things are a maybe that you might want to try with caution, or things that you're curious about that you don't know how you'll react to, but you want to try for that day. You also want to ask if marks are okay. Remember, impact play can cause marks for different people depending on how our bodies and skin react. So there might be bruising, there might be, like I said, with caning, some red marks on the surface of the skin. So maybe keeping in mind if those are okay, if we might want to be careful about the coworkers or family that we might be seeing in the next days. And finally, we want to check if we need to use any safe words. So sometimes when we're playing, it's fine to just say, no, that's enough, I want to stop. But if especially you're playing with power dynamics, or if you want to go really deep into the pain and you're not really sure of being in a headspace where you can say no very easily and quickly, it often helps to have a safe word that we both know and that we're both completely on the same page about the meaning of, so that we know, for instance, red means let's totally stop the scene, yellow means let's have less of this sensation and go somewhere else in the body, and maybe purple means let's have a small pause and check in, and then we can get back to play. And last of all, aftercare needs. For anyone who's not already in the kink community, this is a really great model to actually apply to so many areas of life and intimacy. Just already negotiating beforehand what you might need after the scene. So am I going to want some cuddles? Am I going to actually want some distance? Would I like to have some drinks or snacks nearby for afterwards? Is it going to help me to have, a comforting blanket that I can wrap myself in? And to have those things on hand that are going to make us feel comfortable as we come down from the drop of endorphins and adrenaline that we play with. And finally, as we're starting play, even though we've already negotiated how much pain we want, it's always good to start very softly and see how your play partner is reacting to something. First of all, always nice to have a small warm-up. You can do that even just by kind of slapping the skin on the body, using your hand so it's not too hard. And a skin that's been warmed up will also be able to receive more impact than skin that's totally cold. And then even as we're starting to increase, making sure that our play partner is breathing, is staying present, and if you have any doubt at all about how the pain feels for them, a great way to find out is just to ask. So one question is, how is the pain for you on a scale of 1 to 10? And if they say it's a 7, it might also be a nice follow-up to ask, is it a good 7 or is it a painful 7 or a difficult 7? Because sometimes a 7 is actually more than you want to be taking that day. And sometimes a 7 feels great and you actually want to slowly work your way up to a 9 and a 10. And another way you can make sure that you're not overdoing impact with your bottom is letting them set the pace. So either having them count after each spanking, or having them actually say, thank you, may I have another please, so that they're the ones asking you to hit them again. Can also be wonderful as you're playing with pain and intense sensations to alternate with some soft sensations, which will be in contrast even more soft, more caring, more gentle than they would be if you weren't playing with these intense sensations. So that's the Impact 101, and yeah, have a lot of fun.